Dave Palumbo here with an RxMuscle news update. Hot off the press. Michael Lockett wins the Chicago Pro Show in spectacular fashion. You know, Michael Lockett we've been following for a number of years, over 10 years now. And this guy, I remember when he won Dave Lieberman's Natural Ohio. He was a drug-tested athlete. He passed the test. Then he went on to win the Team Universe. This guy, overall, could have got a pro card, turned it down, went to the Junior Nationals the next year, won the overall, went to the Nationals after that. I think he was in the top 3 or 4, and then disappeared. For years, he disappeared. Then came back out of nowhere, won the North American Championships, and up at, last year he won it. I believe it was last year or the year before, he won his first pro show. And this guy is just a phenomenon. I don't know how to put it any other way. He's just consistently always in great shape. Does he have a couple weaknesses? Yeah, his legs are not his best body part, but every other body part is. He's got a tremendous, side poses because he's got ridiculous looking glutes. He's got freaky calves. He's got a great back. He's got some of the best arms and chest and shoulders out there. And he's got a tiny waist. How do you beat that? And the guy's always in shape. And you know what? I think this was a well-deserved victory for Michael Lockett. Once again, would I like to see his legs come up? Yeah, we all would. I don't know if it's going to happen at this point in his career, but he's so good from every other pose that, even if he loses, the front double, and it's hard for him to lose the front double because he's got good separation in his legs, even though they're not that big. Charles Griffen pushes him as hard as he can. I mean, Griffen is phenomenal here. He's huge. He's bigger than last year. He's in shape. He's a freak of nature also. Lockett's just got this grainy, hard look to him that it's hard to beat. And I say this all the time, conditioning wins shows. And Lockett has got the best conditioning up there. Like I said, he's got so many good showy body parts too. All his arm poses and his back poses are deadly. He's got crazy glutes and hamstrings. His lower back's, tight. And his waist is teeny. The bigger he gets, he doesn't seem like his waist is getting any bigger. So he's got great proportion. Lockett wins it. He's going to go back to the Olympia now. And you know what? It's no surprise. This guy belongs on the stage. Once again, can he bring his legs up? If he does, he's the top 6 Olympian. I mean, he's a freak. And Charles Griffen has got to be patted on the back here too. He looks great here. I don't think he can do anything else here. Maybe he could have been a little drier. He's got a different type of physique from Michael Lockett. And so when you compare the two, you have to make a choice. Which do you like better? And I think that most judges, especially the guys that are competitive bodybuilders, that we like grainy conditioning, and Lockett's got that. He's got more wow when he hits shots. And I think that Griffen's still coming into his own. Don't get me wrong. I think in another 2 years, Griffen's going to have that muscle maturity that he needs to beat a guy like Lockett. Lockett had muscle maturity from day one, and I don't know if that's a genetic thing. I don't think the guy has any myostatin in his body. I mean, he's just got ridiculously great. To be a great natural bodybuilder the way he was, it was unbelievable in and of itself. And that just tells you this guy's got genetics, plus he's got, longevity. He's been doing this a long time now. He's got very mature muscle on his body. Essa Obaid, who was a guy winning shows a couple years back, this has got to be considered a comeback for him because he really hasn't been able to place too high in the last couple of years. I think he looks really good here. He's bigger than both of those, top 2 guys. Not as grainy hard as them. And I've seen Essa come in really, really hard. So I know he's capable of that. So it's good to see that he's back. He looks like he's got all his muscle size back. Everything's flowing right in the right shape. I think he's on the way up. I think we're going to see Essa hit a few more shows probably before the Olympia. Hopefully try to win one and qualify. So it's good to see that he's back in the fray because here's a guy who, like I said, was a guy that people were talking about, hey, this is going to be a top 6 Olympian at some point. And it just never seemed to have happened. So it was kind of a disappointment for a lot of bodybuilding fans in that sense. And so it's nice to see that he's back here today. And 4th place, Lukas Osladil. I mean, there's not a better guy with better conditioning in this class. I talk about Lockett and his muscle maturity and separation. That's a lot of genetics. Is he in great shape? Yeah. Lukas has got fibery looking, stuff going on, especially in the glutes and hamstrings. And when he hits it, his back double is deadly. He doesn't look big standing there. When you see him in the lineup, he's like, okay. And then when he hits poses, his body comes alive. Now, unfortunately, and this was something that always, plagued me, the front double bicep in the standing relaxed pose is probably 75% of your score. I know no one will ever say that, but that's the pose that you see people standing in most of the time. They're standing relaxed, and then the front double is probably hit more than any other pose in the lineup. So, if those poses are not your strongest poses, then you're at a disadvantage. And Lukas is at a disadvantage because you don't really see how good he is until he starts hitting all the mandatory poses, and he gets into those side poses with the crazy glutes and the side fiberiness in the chest and arms, and when he hits those back poses. So if it's close and guys are a little out of shape, Lukas will win shows, and he has, because he has that freaky conditioning. But when there's guys that are genetically better and when they're standing in the lineup and they look really good, he loses to them, and so he has to settle for fourth here. But he's in great shape, and once again, I know we're going to see Lukas hit a few shows as well, and don't be surprised if he winds up back on that Olympia stage too. Let's talk about the 212 division, where it was a shocker really, but at the end of the day, you got to go with the best guy, and Lloyd Dollar from my little backyard here, Cape Coral, Florida, was the best guy out there on that stage, and people might argue it, but you know what? Structurally, he's the best. He's got good legs, and this is a guy who didn't have great legs in the past, but in this 212 lineup, I think he's got, really good legs, good separation in his legs. His waist is small. He doesn't have any flaws, really, and I think that's the problem. I look at guys like, Zane Watson, they weren't in good shape. Guy Cisternino, his tan was not good. His conditioning could have been a little grainier in the lower back area. Lloyd Dollar brought the conditioning and he brought the structure, and that's what it's about. Conditioning wins shows, and I've said it over and over and over and over again. Bola Ojax was great. He had a very similar structure to Lloyd. I mean, they matched up really well, and that's why Bola took second, but Lloyd is grainier than he is. He's harder than he is, and he hits his mandatories well, and that's what the judges are judging. It was a hard class because everyone was a little off, and you had to kind of figure out who is the best up there. And that's when a guy like Lloyd Dollar is deadly. He's not the biggest guy up there. He's not the hardest guy up there, but he's structurally really good, and he was in the best shape I'd seen him in, for quite some time. And that counts. And so people see the hard work there. They see this guy put in, the long hours in the gym and dieted hard. He was in the best shape up there. He had the least flaws, and he wins this show, and he wins unanimously according to the scores, and I don't have a problem with that. Bola Ojax finishes in second. Once again, if he would have been a little harder, he might have pushed Lloyd. I don't know. But he didn't. John Jewett is the biggest guy in the lineup. He could have won this class easy, but he's not in the best shape of his life. He's got to be harder. He settles for third. I actually thought Guy Cisternino should have beat Jewett, only because Guy was better from a conditioning standpoint, but Guy's tan looked terrible to prejudges. I don't know what happened to his tan, because Guy is a lunatic when it comes to details like this. So that hurt him. Maybe if he was crazy dark tanned, he might have won this thing. I don't know. He might have pulled it out. He might have looked harder because his glutes were striated. If you look at watch the video, I don't know, his tan looked off. It looked like he was, he had just started tanning and he didn't finish or something like that. So the 212 lineup, once again, not the strongest we've seen, but it was competitive because everyone was kind of matched up well, because not everyone was at their best. Actually, Lloyd Dollar was at his best, and that's why he won. And then, of course, in the Classic Physique division, Jordan Plantiko wins another pro show. This guy's a phenomenon. I don't know if you saw my interview with him, my one-on-one interview I did with him 2 weeks ago. After he won that show out west, this guy, has had a stellar career. I mean, this so far. He turned pro relatively easy. He wins his first pro show. He wins his second pro show now. And you know what the truth is? And I've talked to his trainers, the Tomasinis, Stacy and Kevin out in Wisconsin. This guy's all natural. You don't have to believe it. I didn't believe it at first, but you know what? I know the Tomasinis, they don't lie. The guy's natural, and who cares if he is or not? He wins this class, and he is, if you watch his posing, he's a great poser. He's just a natural, because he hasn't been doing it this long. To be that natural up on stage, it means this is what you were meant to do. And if this guy puts on a little bit more muscle, he's going to be dangerous at that Olympia. So I think this is a really, validating event for Jordan, because now he's got 2 wins. That'll definitely qualify him for the Olympia. You go into the Olympia with 2 wins under your belt, you're not just a lucky guy. You've got some kind of talent here. And who knows what the next couple of years are going to hold for this guy in this class, because this Classic Physique division is made for Jordan Plantiko. And I'm going to predict right here, in 2-3 years, this guy is going to be competing for an Olympia title, without a doubt, assuming he doesn't get injured, because he's got the structure, he's got the presentation, it comes natural to him, and he hasn't been doing it this long. Okay, so the more he does it, the more muscle maturity he's going to get, the more density he's going to get, the more roundness his physique is going to get, and the more deadly he's going to be. You mark my words. Congratulations to all winners. Michael Lockett out there in that open division. You're going back to the Olympia, big boy. You look great, and you know what? I'm very happy to see that you're back in the winner's circle. In that 212, Lloyd, I got to get you in the studio here. You live right around the corner from us. Congratulations. And of course, Jordan Plantiko in that classic division. I'm Dave Palumbo with an RxMuscle news update.